Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Renuka bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring to you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi describes India as mother of democracy, says spirit of democracy has been flowing in every part of the country for centuries. British Prime Minister sacks Conservative Party Chairman Nadeem Zahawi from the government over his tax affairs. Retired NATO General Petr Pavel has been elected as the new president of the Czech Republic, defeating Andrej Babis. In Pakistan, at least 44 people were killed after a passenger bus fell into a ravine in the Lasbela district of Balochistan province. In New Zealand, the deadly flood emergency continued on Sunday after heavy rainfall hit the country's North Island, causing landslides. India women lift inaugural Under-19 T20 trophy, beat England by 7 wickets in final. Germany lift Hockey World Cup, beating Belgium in a penalty shootout. And Novak Djokovic wins his 10th Australian Open title, equaling Rafael Nadal's record 22 Grand Slam. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has described India as the mother of democracy, saying that democracy is in the veins and culture of the Indian people. Addressing the nation in the 97th episode of his Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio today, Mr. Modi highlighted that India is the largest democracy in the world and has a democratic society by nature. He stressed on the need to dispose of e-waste properly, as it can harm the environment. He observed that today's latest devices are the future's e-waste. Prime Minister Modi pointed out that e-waste can become a great force in the circular economy of recycling and reusing.
अलग अलग प्रोसेस के जरिए ई वेस्ट से करीब 17 प्रकार के प्रेशियस मेटल्स निकाले जा सकते हैं. इसमें गोल्ड, सिल्वर, कॉपर और निकल शामिल है. इसलिए ई वेस्ट का सदुपयोग करना कचरे को कंचन बनाने से कम नहीं है. आज करीब 500 ई वेस्ट रिसाइकलर्स इस क्षेत्र से जुड़े हैं और बहुत सारे नए उद्यमियों को भी इससे जोड़ा जा रहा है. इस सेक्टर ने हजारों लोगों को सीधे तौर पर रोजगार भी दिया है. ई वेस्ट के निपटारे से सुरक्षित उपयोगी तरीकों के बारे में लोगों को जागरूक करते रहना होगा.
The Prime Minister expressed happiness that people are adopting millets on a large scale and are making them part of their diet. He said this has a huge and visible impact on small farmers cultivating millets. The Prime Minister said that farmer producer organizations and entrepreneurs have started efforts to market millets and make them available to people. The Prime Minister exuded pride that the United Nations took the decision of observing both International Yoga Day and International Year of Millets after India's proposal. Mr. Modi also praised the milletpreneurs of Odisha who are in the limelight these days. Mr. Modi shared about Purple Fest, which was held in Goa from the 6th to 8th of January. This was a unique effort for the welfare of Divyangs. More than 50,000 people participated in it. The Prime Minister signed off by asking people to strengthen the Indian Republic through public participation. The government has convened an all-party meeting on Monday ahead of the budget session of the Parliament beginning Tuesday. The meeting will be held at 12 noon at the Parliament House complex. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi, union ministers and floor leaders of political parties representing both the House of Parliament will attend it. At the meeting, the government will seek cooperation from all political parties to ensure smooth functioning of both the Houses of Parliament during the session. The budget session of Parliament will commence from 31st of this month. The session will start with the address by President Draupadi Murmu to the joint sitting of both the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha in the Central Hall at 11 a.m. The economic survey will also be tabled in both the houses on the first day of the session. The Union Budget 2023-24 will be presented on 1st of February. The budget session will continue till 6th of April this year and have 27 sittings spread over 66 days. The first part of the session will continue till 13th of February. It will have recess from 14th February to 12th of March to enable the department-related parliamentary standing committees to examine the demands for grants and make reports relating to their ministries and departments. The second part of the budget session will commence from 13th of March and will continue till 6th of April. In today's Hotspot section, we bring you a news commentary on preparation of the Union Budget.
In India, parliamentary control over the public finances is ensured through approval of the annual budget. While the government formulates the union budget, the parliament approves it and also enforces accountability of the executive. Articles 265, 266, 112 and 114 of the Indian Constitution outline the mechanism for parliamentary control over the public purse. It provides that no tax shall be levied or collected except by the authority of law, no expenditure can be incurred except with authorization of the legislature, and the President shall, in respect of every financial year, cause to be laid before Parliament annual financial statement. The budget for a year is prepared by the Budget Division in the Ministry of Finance. The process begins with the issuance of the budget circular. The budget circular is issued with the purpose of providing guidance to ministries and departments in framing their revised estimates for the current year and the budget estimates for the ensuing financial year. The budget process mainly consists of two types of activities. The first is the administrative process, wherein the budget along with the documents is prepared in consultation with various stakeholders. The second step is the legislative process, wherein the budget is passed by Parliament after discussion. Though the union budget is presented on the 1st of February or any other suitable date as decided by the government, the process of budget preparation commences in mid of August of the previous year and continues till the end of March. In the year when general elections to Lok Sabha are held, the budget may be presented twice. First, to secure a vote on account for a few months and later for the full financial year. The President's approval for budget presentation is obtained by the Secretary General, Lok Sabha Secretariat, after the Speaker agrees to the date suggested by the government before the commencement of the budget session. The President's approval of the budget is obtained through summary for the President. It includes the direct and indirect tax proposals and miscellaneous financial provisions as proposed through the Finance Bill. The summary note is approved by the Finance Minister and Prime Minister before being taken for the President's approval, normally in the morning of the date on which the budget is presented to the Parliament. After the President's approval, the members are informed of the date and time of the presentation of the budget through the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha bulletin. The bulletin contains items of general interest to members. Immediately prior to the presentation of the budget in Parliament, the Finance Minister briefs the Cabinet on the budget proposals and the Finance Bill. The Budget Division prepares a summary for the Cabinet outlining in brief the revised estimates proposals, the budget proposals for the ensuing year, the estimated receipts, including the direct and indirect tax proposals and miscellaneous financial provisions as proposed through the Finance Bill. The summary note is approved by the Finance Minister. Immediately after briefing of the Cabinet by the Finance Minister, the budget is presented in the Parliament. While presenting the budget in Lok Sabha, the Finance Minister makes a speech providing details of the proposals for the new financial year regarding taxation, borrowings and expenditure plans of the government. The budget speech is a policy document which highlights the policies and programs of the government. The budget is laid on the table of the Rajya Sabha soon after the Finance Minister has completed the budget speech in the Lok Sabha. No discussion takes place on the day the budget is presented. Sets of budget papers are supplied to members after the budget has been presented through electronic and digital mode. 5 copies of the Finance Minister's speech are provided to the Secretary General Lok Sabha from the official gallery as soon as the Finance Minister begins the presentation. A customary halwa ceremony is performed every year, marking the final stage of the budget preparation process. This year, the function was held on the 26th of January 2023 in the presence of Union Finance and Corporate Affairs Minister Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman and Union Ministers of State for Finance Shri Pankaj Chaudhary and Dr. Bhagwat Kisan Rao Karad. The Union Budget 2023-24 will be delivered in paperless form as the previous 2 years. It will also be available on the Union Budget mobile app after the completion of the budget speech by the Finance Minister in Parliament on the 1st of February 2023.
This is All India Radio giving you the world news. The first Employment Working Group meeting under the Sherpa track of the G20 will be held from the 2nd to the 4th of February in Jodhpur, for which preparations have already begun. The city is decorated depicting Rajasthani culture with a special theme. Dishes specially prepared from millet will be served to the Sherpas and delegates. The foreign guests will start their morning with a yoga session. Sherpas and delegates from 20 countries including Australia, Italy, Japan and China are expected to attend the meeting. The focus area of the Employment Working Group meeting will target issues including addressing global skill gaps, gig and platform economy and social protection and sustainable financing of social security. The Startup 20 Inception meeting has concluded in Hyderabad on Sunday. Paytm founder Vijay Shekhar Sharma, Your Story founder and CEO Shrad Sharma, actor and active investor in Indian startup ecosystem Sunil Shetty have addressed among others the second day Inception meeting in Hyderabad. They shared their journey through the startup ecosystem in India. Dr. Chintan Vaishnav launched the Startup 20X, which has also been incorporated under the Startup 20 Engagement Group. Startup 20X has been launched to bring together leaders, entrepreneurs, innovators, visionaries, educators, incubation professionals, women, youth, artisans, artists, activists, and others to discuss experiences and best practices. The conferences and series of talks will enable efficient policy formulation throughout Startup 20 Engagement Group and task force discussions. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak on Sunday dismissed chairman of his Conservative Party chairman Nadeem Zahawi from the government after a probe into Zahawi's tax affairs found serious breach of ministerial code. The UK government released the inquiry report by Sunak's ethics advisor Laurie Magnus. Sunak had ordered investigation into former Chancellor's tax affairs amid demands from opposition to remove him. Zahawi was facing allegations of settling a multi-million-dollar unpaid tax bill when was in charge of the country's treasury in Boris Johnson's government. Retired NATO General Petr Pavel has been elected as the new president of the Czech Republic, seeing off his populist challenger Andrej Babis. The 61-year-old took 57.6% of the vote. Initial results released by the state statistics office showed. Mr. Babis, who served as Prime Minister between 2017 and 2021, conceded defeat in a speech to supporters soon after the results were announced. Speaking after the announcement of the results on Sunday, Mr. Pavel said valuables such as truth, dignity, respect and humility had won. The ex-general will replace Milo Zeman, whose second term ends in March. The election's results follow an ill-tempered campaign marred by alleged death threats and disinformation. Earlier this week, Mr. Pavel was forced to take to Twitter to deny rumors of his own death circulated by a fake website and emails hosted by Russia's Yandex server. In Pakistan, at least 44 people were killed after a passenger bus fell into a ravine and caught fire in the Lasbela district of Balochistan province on Sunday. According to media reports, the bus carrying around 48 people crashed on the way from Balochistan's capital of Quetta to the southern city of Karachi. Local police told that 44 bodies had been recovered from the wreckage and 3 people, including a child and a woman, have been rescued. The police officials said that due to high speed, the bus crashed into the pillar of a bridge while taking a U-turn and subsequently careened into a ravine and then caught fire. Bomb-carrying drones targeted an Iranian defense factory in the central city of Isfahan overnight, authorities said early Sunday. They said this caused some damage at the plant amid heightened regional and international tensions engulfing the Islamic Republic. The Iranian Defense Ministry offered no information on who it suspected carried out the attack, which came as a refinery fire separately broke out in the country's northwest and a 5.9 magnitude earthquake struck nearby, killing 3 people. Details on the Isfahan attack, which happened around 11:30 p.m. Saturday, remain scarce. A statement from the Defense Ministry described 3 drones being launched at the facility, with 2 of them successfully shot down. A third apparently made it through to strike the building, causing minor damage to its roof and wounding no one, the ministry said. Russian President Vladimir Putin is open to contacts with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, a Kremlin spokesman told the state RIA Novosti news agency on Sunday. Germany, previously the West's main holdout on providing modern battle tanks to Ukraine to help it fight off Russia's invasion, said last week it would send 14 of its Leopard 2 tanks to Kyiv and also approve Leopard shipments by allied European countries. The announcement followed shortly afterwards by a U.S. pledge of M1 Abrams tanks to Kyiv infuriated the Kremlin. For now, there are no agreed talks with Scholz in the schedule. However, Putin has been and remains open to contacts. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov was quoted as saying by RIA Novosti. Scholz was quoted by the Berlin daily Tagesspiegel in an interview published on Sunday as saying that he will also speak to Putin again because it is necessary to speak. He added the onus is on Putin to withdraw troops from Ukraine to end this horrendous, senseless war that has cost hundreds of thousands of lives already. Putin and Scholz last spoke by phone in early December. In Iran, at least 3 people have been killed and more than 300 injured in an earthquake with a magnitude of 5.9 struck northwest part of the country near the border with Turkey on Saturday. Iran's official news agency IRNA reported that a number of officials, including the interior minister and rescue officials, have flown to the city of Khoi to monitor rescue efforts. The news agency said that 2 cities and 87 villages are affected by the quake. The earthquake was triggered at a depth of 7 kilometers under the ground. Major geological faultiness crisscrossed Iran, which has suffered several devastating earthquakes in recent years. In New Zealand, the deadly flood emergency continued on Sunday after heavy rainfall hit the country's North Island, causing landslides, flash floods and knocking out roads. At least 3 people have died and 1 is missing after New Zealand's largest city experienced its wettest day on Friday. The nation's weather forecast Met Service warned of more severe weather across Auckland until Tuesday. The Met Service said that intense rainfall could also cause surface and flash flooding. New Zealand Climate Change Minister James Shaw said climate change is causing heavy rainfall to become more common and intense, though the impact varies by region. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has said that Ukraine had unconditional support from the bloc and the country needed to prevail against Russian attacks to defend European values. She was speaking ahead of an EU-Ukraine summit next week. She said European Commission stand by Ukraine's side without any ifs and buts. She said in a speech on Saturday at an event of her party, the Christian Democrat CDU, in Düsseldorf, Germany. She added Ukraine is fighting for our shared values. It is fighting for the respect of international law and for the principles of democracy, and that is why Ukraine has to win this war. In the USA, the Memphis Police Department has disbanded the so-called Scorpion Special Unit, whose officers are accused of murdering a man, Ty Nichols. The Street Crimes Operations to Restore Peace in Our Neighborhood Scorpion Unit was established in 2021. The announcement came a day after the release of distressing footage showing police kicking and punching Nichols. The 29-year-old man later succumbed to his injuries. The police department said that the decision was in response to requests from Nichols' family and community leaders. Sri Lankans will celebrate the 75th anniversary of independence on the 4th of February. The security forces and the police have commenced rehearsals for the Independence Day parade since Saturday at the Gale Face Green. In line with President Ranil Wickremesinghe's instructions, the ceremony will be held with the usual pomp and pageantry but at a minimal cost. In addition, a special religious program will be held at the sacred temple of the Tooth Relic in Kandy. Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe told the parliament last week that if the occasion is not celebrated, it will have a negative impact. He added that the expenditure will be cut down and kept at a minimum. The island nation has been in the midst of its worst ever economic crisis since its independence in 1948. Sri Lanka has been making efforts to obtain a bailout from the International Monetary Fund. So far, India has been the only creditor to have given financing assurances to the IMF, which are a requirement for funding from the global lender. India also extended generous assistance of $4 billion last year to help Sri Lanka stay afloat. For the first time, a Russian delegation was not invited to a ceremony marking the liberation of the former Auschwitz-Birkenau Nazi death camp in modern-day Poland. Russia is usually represented at the event as the camp in occupied Poland was liberated by the Soviet army. But this year, following Moscow's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine, the Auschwitz-Birkenau Museum declined to invite Russian officials, and its director likened the Ukraine war to the horrors of the Holocaust. In response, Russia accused the museum of attempting to rewrite history. At the event on Friday, museum director Piotr Seinwensky said Auschwitz was created by Nazi megalomania, and a similar Sikh megalomania and similar lust of power had driven Russia's destruction of Mariupol and Donetsk. Speaking to an audience, including camp survivors, he warned that once again innocent people are being killed en masse in Europe. The Polish nation has stood firm in its support for Ukraine during the conflict, with Poles housing hundreds of thousands of refugees in their homes and offering military support to its neighbor. Israel's Security Cabinet has approved measures to make it easier for Israelis to carry guns after two separate attacks by Palestinians in Jerusalem over the past 2 days. The attacks took place after an Israeli army raid in the occupied West Bank killed 9 people. The new measures also include depriving an attacker's family members of residency and social security rights. The full cabinet is due to consider the measures on Sunday. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had promised a strong and swift response ahead of the Security Cabinet. Israel's army also said it would be reinforcing troop numbers in the occupied West Bank. Azerbaijan will evacuate embassy staff and family members from Iran on Sunday. The Foreign Ministry said 2 days after a gunman shot dead a security guard and wounded 2 other people in an attack, Baku branded an act of terrorism. Police in Tehran have said they have arrested a suspect, and Iranian authorities condemned Friday's incident but said the gunman appeared to have had a personal, not a political motive. The incident came amid increased tensions between the neighboring countries over Iran's treatment of its large ethnic Azeri minority and over Azerbaijan's decision this month to appoint its first-ever ambassador to Israel. Earlier, the ministry said the shooting was the result of Tehran failing to heed its calls for better security. Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi called for a comprehensive investigation of the incident and sent his condolences to Azerbaijan and the dead man's family, state media said. North Korea condemned on Friday the decision by the United States to supply Ukraine with advanced battle tanks to help fight off Russia's invasion, saying Washington is escalating a sinister proxy war aimed at destroying Moscow. The comments by the influential sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un underscored the country's deepening alignment with Russia over the war in Ukraine as it confronts the United States and its Asian allies over its own growing nuclear weapons and missiles program. North Korea has blamed the United States for the crisis in Ukraine, insisting that the West's hegemonic policy forced Russia to take military action to protect its security interests. The United States has accused North Korea of sending large supplies of artillery shells and other ammunition to Russia to support its offensive in Ukraine, although the North has repeatedly denied the claim. In Peru, at least 24 people died in the northern part of the country after a bus carrying 60 passengers plunged off a cliff on Saturday. Peru's Transportation Supervisory Agency, Sutran, said that according to early investigation, the bus appeared to have an up-to-date safety inspection. As per media reports, road accidents are relatively common in Peru as many drivers operate vehicles on precarious roads without proper training. In Pakistan, the federal government has announced an increase in prices of petrol and diesel by 35 rupees on Sunday. The kerosene oil and light diesel oil prices also hiked by 18 rupees per litre. Following Sunday's hike, petrol has reached 249.8 rupees per litre, while diesel prices have been raised to 262.8 rupees per litre. Kerosene oil 289.83 rupees per litre and light diesel oil 287 rupees per litre. Pakistan's Finance Minister Ishaq Dar said that the hike was recommended by oil and gas authorities due to the higher cost of buying energy in the global market. The decision has come days before an International Monetary Fund mission is to visit Pakistan to discuss the stalled 9th review of the country's current funding program. Last week, the Pakistani rupee lost close to 12% of its value after the removal of price caps that were imposed by the government. However, it was opposed by the IMF. In the FIH Hockey World Cup, Germany have lifted the World Cup after 17 years when they beat Belgium 5-4 on a penalty shootout after the game ended 3-3 in the final at the Kalinga Stadium in Bhubaneswar. Germany now have won the World Cup 3 times, first in 2002, second in 2006. In cricket, India defeated New Zealand by 6 wickets in the second T20 encounter of the 3-match series in Lucknow tonight. Chasing the target of 100 runs set by New Zealand, India scored 101 runs for 4 wickets in 19.5 overs. For the host, Suryakumar Yadav was the highest scorer, who remained not out at 26. Batting first, the visitors had scored 99 for 8 wickets in stipulated 20 overs. In the first T20 match, New Zealand had defeated India by 21 runs in Ranchi. The third and final T20 match will be played in Ahmedabad on Wednesday. In tennis, Novak Djokovic beat Stefanos Tsitsipas 6-3, 7-6 to win his 10th Australian Open. Djokovic equals Rafael Nadal's men's record of 22 Grand Slam titles, and the Serb will now be world number 1 in ranking. Tsitsipas is still waiting for first major title. Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Globe and Mail reports German arms maker eyes boost in munitions output amid demand in Ukraine West. The Washington Post writes Brazil insurrection probe increases Bolsonaro's legal jeopardy. The Financial Times reports China targets consumption in bid to drive growth. The New York Times writes New Zealand's largest city grapples with aftermath of devastating floods. South China Morning Post says Russia rules out talks with Japan on fishing near disputed islands. The Japan Times writes that what will change when Japan reclassifies COVID-19? Le Monde reports UK PM Sunak fires Conservative Party chair Zahawi after tax row. Straits Times says Memphis disbands police unit after fatal beating as US protesters take to the streets. And now, before we end, let us look at the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi describes India as mother of democracy, says spirit of democracy has been flowing in every part of the country for centuries. British Prime Minister sacks Conservative Party chairman Nadeem Zahawi from the government over his tax affairs. Retired NATO General Petr Pavel has been elected as the new president of the Czech Republic, defeating Andrej Babis. In Pakistan, at least 44 people were killed after a passenger bus fell into a ravine in the Lasbela district of Balochistan province. In New Zealand, the deadly flood emergency continued on Sunday after heavy rainfall hit the country's North Island, causing landslides. India women lift inaugural under-19 T20 trophy, beat England by 7 wickets in final. Germany lift Hockey World Cup, beating Belgium in a penalty shootout. And Novak Djokovic wins his 10th Australian Open title, equaling Rafael Nadal's record 22 Grand Slam. And now, before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan, Vaishnavajan, by artists from Haiti.
उपकार करे तोए para tu के उपकार करे तोए मन्ना अभिमान ना आने रे वैष्णव सनको तेरे काही जे पीरे पारागी जाने रे सकल लोकमा man nichal raake dhan dhan chandani teri re Vaishnav janato tere kahiye je pire paragi jane.
And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.
Bye.